Before we begin, if you're drawn to the hidden forces that shaped our world, subscribe now to Dark History Archive and join us as we uncover the stories history doesn't always tell. Because tonight, we're not just talking about cars. We're talking about power, about ambition, about steel, gasoline, and a nation transformed forever. Before highways ruled the land, before suburbs stretched endlessly, before traffic jams defined modern life, there was a loud, unpredictable machine that changed everything. The automobile didn't just revolutionize transportation. It reshaped cities, built fortunes, destroyed neighborhoods, created freedom, independency. From the first fragile engine in 1894 to the oil crisis that shook the nation in 1973, this is the story of how four wheels didn't just move America. They rebuilt it. In 1894, Charles and Frank Duryea built what would become the first successful gasoline-powered American automobile. It rattled. It sputtered. It broke down often. To many, it looked like a dangerous toy. But to a small group of visionaries, it represented something revolutionary. Independence from horses, from rail schedules, from limitations. For the first time, Americans could imagine personal mobility powered by combustion instead of muscle. It was primitive, but it was the spark. At the dawn of the 20th century, owning a car meant belonging to a rare class of experimenters. There were no traffic signals, no standardized road signs, no driver education. Early drivers carried tools because breakdowns were expected. They studied engines like doctors studying anatomy. Driving required courage. Dust clouds followed every journey. Mud swallowed wheels whole. It wasn't transportation. It was controlled chaos. And those who dared felt alive. By 1905, automobiles moved indoors, into showrooms. Cars were polished, displayed under lights, presented as desirable objects rather than mechanical curiosities. Salesmen emerged. Advertising expanded. The automobile was no longer an invention. It was an industry. In 1908, General Motors was formed not to build just one vehicle, but to create a network of brands. Cadillac, Buick, Oldsmobile, different price levels, different identities. GM introduced the idea that cars weren't just transportation. They were status symbols. Competition intensified. Corporate scale redefined the battlefield. In 1913, Henry Ford revolutionized production with the moving assembly line. Workers no longer built entire cars. They repeated single tasks. Efficiency soared. Costs dropped dramatically. The Model T became affordable to ordinary workers, even the very men building it. Ownership exploded. The automobile was no longer elite. It became democratic. The Lincoln Highway stretched coast to coast. For the first time, a marked route linked New York to San Francisco. It wasn't perfectly paved. It wasn't always smooth, but it symbolized unity. America was tying itself together with asphalt and ambition. In 1919, a young Army officer named Dwight D. Eisenhower joined a military convoy crossing the nation. The trip took over 2 months. Vehicles overheated. Bridges collapsed. Roads vanished into mud. The journey exposed a national weakness. America's infrastructure was not ready for modern mobility. Eisenhower never forgot it. Detroit became the beating heart of industrial America. Factories roared day and night. Immigrants and rural workers flooded in. Steel met rubber. Assembly lines stretched endlessly. The city earned its nickname, Motor City. Automobiles weren't just products. They were America's economic engine. As cars multiplied, accidents rose sharply. Cities struggled with congestion. Pedestrians competed with machines. The government responded. Driver's licenses, traffic signals, road regulations. Driving shifted from freedom without rules to freedom with responsibility. By the mid-1920s, Ford's factories were producing cars at staggering speed. Automation reduced labor time to minutes per vehicle. Mass production reshaped work culture itself. The modern industrial era had arrived, powered by gasoline. Despite economic hardship during the Great Depression, Americans dreamed of escape. Recreational vehicles emerged, small, mobile homes built for adventure. The open road became therapy. Travel evolved from necessity to experience. Public works projects expanded highways. Road construction provided employment to thousands. Infrastructure became economic recovery. Highways offered more than transport. They offered dignity. The Chrysler Airflow introduced aerodynamic design inspired by aviation. Wind tunnels influenced car shapes. Sleek lines replaced boxy frames. Design became science. Route 66 became legendary. Families escaping Dust Bowl devastation traveled west seeking opportunity. Motels, diners, and gas stations flourished along its path. It was more than pavement. It was hope stretching across the horizon. The Pennsylvania Turnpike introduced limited access highways designed for speed and safety. No intersections, no stop signs. It was a blueprint for the future interstate system. After World War II, families left crowded cities. Affordable homes rose in suburban developments. Cars made commuting possible. America physically expanded outward. Retail followed drivers. Malls emerged outside city centers with vast parking lots. Consumer culture aligned with car culture. Commerce revolved around mobility. With growth came frustration. Rush hour became a daily ritual. Freedom met limitation. The automobile reshaped time itself. Young Americans modified engines for speed. Hot rods symbolized rebellion and creativity. Cars became expressions of identity. Car design reached dramatic extremes. Tail fins soared like rocket wings. Chrome shimmered under sunlight. The space age influenced the driveway. President Eisenhower signed the Federal Aid Highway Act. Interstates connected states at unprecedented speed. Commerce accelerated. Defense strengthened. But neighborhoods were demolished. Communities divided. Progress carried consequences. Rising fatalities sparked public concern. Seatbelts became standard. Crash testing improved. Safety entered the conversation. As new models appeared yearly, used vehicles flooded secondary markets. Car ownership expanded into lower-income households. Mobility became nearly universal. Power surged back into design. Big engines. Aggressive styling. Performance symbolized dominance. Then came the shock. Gas shortages created long lines at stations. Prices soared. America realized its dependence. The car had shaped the nation, but it had also tied it to oil. From a noisy machine in 1894 to highways stretching across an entire continent, the automobile didn't just move people. It moved power. It moved money. It moved history itself. But here's the real question. Did cars give America freedom? Or did they quietly redesign the country in ways we're still living with today? Because every highway built something and erased something else. And this is only the beginning. If you value real history without filters, subscribe now to Dark History Archive. Like this video so more people can discover these forgotten stories. And tell me in the comments, was the automobile America's greatest invention or its most underestimated turning point? Your perspective matters, and the next story is waiting.